Rebecca Wilcox. This is quite astonishing. We've spoken to you a couple of times before, Rebecca, about your mother's plight, and she really sort of put this back on the map and back in the headlines when she said, I don't want to suffer a sort of long, drawn-out, unpleasant end to my life. Well, now it seems that potentially all one might have to do is cross the border into Scotland if this bill passes, and then there's the solution.
Well, I wish it was that easy, but it seems that the caveat that they're putting in means that you would have to have been a resident of Scotland for at least 12 months before accessing an assisted dying death, if that's the right phrase. It sounds ridiculous. Otherwise, we would go there like a shot, because we would be able to travel with Mum. She would be able to have us all around her. She would be able to have the painless, dignified death she so deserves, and so many other families feel the same way. I've spoken to so many people who are currently living with a terminal diagnosis, and the fear that is on their shoulders that their death will be painful, undignified, appalling, you know, that their loved ones will witness things that you shouldn't see anyone go through, let alone someone you adore, frankly. And Mum would never want us to see the things that the extraordinary Dame Diana Rigg spoke about in those tapes that were released after her death, when her daughter recorded her with her permission, in a state of real anxiety, confusion, unable to hold her bodily functions together. And, you know, that's Dame Diana Rigg who is going through that. Mum would hate that, and we would hate for our memories of her to be replaced by that. That's not the priority. The priority is her feeling that she is safe. And currently in the UK, she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel that her end will reflect the way she has lived her life, that she will have the choices that she needs to give herself a death that is pain-free, surrounded by the people she loves, and, you know, the good death that we all want.
Absolutely. We've discussed this before, Rebecca, but this in the end, this issue is about body autonomy. It's about grown, sentient adults making decisions about their own lives. And quite logically, in my view, it's clear that a significant majority of people in Britain believe that you should be able to opt for assisted dying if you want to. Every time this issue comes up, as it has in Scotland, you get the various churches crop up going on about the sanctity of life. Don't want to undermine that, but the sanctity of life wasn't what was paramount in Dame Diana Rigg's mind when she was going through that awful downhill slide. And then you'll get these other groups which will say, well, suppose it's sort of evil relatives who are trying to persuade people to take their own life so they can get an inheritance. That probably will happen on a really, really, really small scale. We cannot stop a logical law just because there may be small infringements, or indeed that the church are talking about kind of philosophical concepts about the sanctity of life. This is about people being able to make their own decisions, as your mum wants to do. We've got to stop all these blockages to the progress of what must become a law soon, haven't we?
I mean, it's interesting that we are now seeming to be the backward nation that is adhering to a biblical notion of there being some sort of saintliness in suffering. I don't believe in that. I respect other people that do, but I don't think they should be able to say what I do, what my mother does, what thousands of people want to do. There was a poll done of every single UK constituency as to whether assisted dying should be brought in, and it won the majority in every single one. There wasn't even a 50-50. It's so clear that this is what's wanted. It's also so clear that caveats can be brought in to protect the vulnerable, and I absolutely agree that they should be. I don't think that there should be a law brought in without assessing how we can protect people from feeling that they are a burden and that they should euthanize themselves. But the fact is that you know, there are hundreds of millions of people living in hundreds of countries that have this. And we could, as I've said before, we can cherry pick the best laws, the ones that work, and make it work for us. Why are we so behind? Is it because our faith leaders are holding us back in a strange dark age, which doesn't reflect the ethical, moral point of view of the majority of us? Faith is a beautiful thing. Religion can be a beautiful thing. In this instance, it has no voice. It shouldn't speak for the nation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a woman of faith, but I totally agree with you. Finally, I mean, has your mum been surprised by the response? Because when she made that brave decision to say to newspapers, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do, the response to it has been enormous. And it seems now that it actually is moving. It has got legs. People are voting on this issue. People are asking their politicians to present this to Parliament and make it law. I mean, what a fantastic legacy if she ends up becoming responsible, essentially, for bringing that level of humanity into the world after she's gone.
Well, I'm obviously massively biased. I think that she's super awesome, amazing. But I do think that as legacies go, this is quite extraordinary. With Childline, she started it after the episodes of her own life that she could have done with a helpline. She has talked about the fact that she was abused as a child by a family friend, and that was one of the reasons that she wanted to start Childline. Silverline she started after she started to feel lonely, and again with this campaign, she's not going to get the benefit of it, but hopefully millions of people will. It's just really frustrating that all the good work that she does doesn't feed back to her. She needs this law now.
I think the whole nation does. And Rebecca, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Really
Thank you so much for your time. Rebecca Wilcox, there,
Thank you.
Dame Esther Rantzen's daughter.